Design study was a way that Volkswagen and some manufacturers will refer to a prototype or a concept car. Perhaps it implies a little more fully developed example than what you'd call a prototype or a concept car, because this car, in fact, is fully developed. Everything works. It works well. As I say, to drive it, you could believe you were driving a production car. There's nothing chintzy or half-baked about it. It's pretty well done. This is a 1989 Volkswagen Corrado Cabriolet design study. That's what Volkswagen called it. They built exactly one. Wound up being entirely too expensive to build, so they never put it in production. But the design study that you see here is fully developed and fully functional. To drive it, you'd never know it was one of one. It performs exactly like a production car. The problem was not that they were too close to the GTI, but rather than being a similarly priced but sportier alternative, they became vastly more expensive, and that made them very, very hard to sell. Leading up to Geneva Motor Show 1989, Volkswagen commissioned actually 3 design studies, each from a different coach builder. And these cars were all featured in European magazines at the time. They were all shown on the auto show circuit. None were ever produced, and they all faded into obscurity. This car wound up in the Volkswagen Museum in Wolfsburg. We agreed a price, and here it is. I had always wanted to be a jockey, and my parents were dead set against it. And they insisted I go to school, which I did, and get a job-type job, which I did. There came a point in time where I'd made a little bit of money, and I realized I was too old for my parents to tell me what to do. So I chucked it all. I lost 50 pounds, tried to get fit, and started riding for some racehorse trainers, endeavored to get a jockey's license, which I ultimately did. I moved to Maryland because it is the epicenter of jumps racing in America. So I didn't have much time to go to car events. So what Miles Collier would call contemplative cars suited my collection. Stuff that didn't have much use, but was cool to think about. And this car kind of fit that bill. But particularly at that period of time, but even today, if I get a phone call to have a chance to buy something that has perfect provenance, which this car does, I've literally got a photo of it at Geneva Motor Show with the CEO of Volkswagen sitting in the driver's seat. I felt like you don't say no. Engine, suspension, transmission, brakes, all completely stock Euro model Corrado. And the interior is full show car. It's upholstered in Connolly leather in a color that's Rolls-Royce's Magnolia. The instruments are upholstered to match the interior. These Bourbet Type A's in body color, 16x8 with polished lips. They were on the car at Geneva. That's what Volkswagen chose, or SGS chose, for whatever reason, for the show car. Compared to a GTI, a Corrado is just a little bit lower center of gravity, a little bit sharper. This Corrado, compared to a stock Corrado coupe, is oddly a little bit better still, because when you reinforce the chassis and cut off the roof, the car doesn't weigh any less. It might even weigh a little bit more, but you're moving all that weight from the top to the bottom, which definitely helps, and you can feel that. This color was developed for this car. It's the only time it's ever been used, developed by SGS. The car left the factory in non-metallic black. That color has been overlaid with blue metal flake. In bright sun from the right angle, it's quite blue. And in other light, it can appear somewhat metallic gray. The choices in Europe at that time period would have been a 16-valve or a G60 8-valve supercharged. But among the Volkswagen performance community, the G60 motors were somewhat coveted because it's easier to turn up the power, because you can increase the boost on the supercharger. The hard boot, the top mechanism, the hydraulics, the computer that runs it is all one-off, not shared with any other car. The quarter glass as well. If you drive it, you'd never believe you weren't driving a regular production car. You know, there's nothing rattles, nothing's fake, you know. Nothing is simulated, it all just works. The cars, I care for them, but I'm not precious about them. I'm not the kind of guy who's gonna rub it with a diaper and worry that the value is gonna get hurt if I put too many miles on it. I mean, I think it's one of those things that if it's not immediately apparent, it's hard to describe. I am enamored with the vision. You kind of couldn't count the beans while you built the prototype, but once it was finished, you could get the bean counters and engineers to kind of go in and say, what would it cost to put this into production? And they realized that it would cost, you know, vastly more than a Porsche 944 to build, and nobody was going to buy this instead of a Porsche 944. I am Alex. I am the curator of the Straylight collection. This is 1989 SGS Volkswagen Corrado Cabriolet design study. Was their Geneva Motor Show car in 1989, and it is the only one in the world.